I'm Tristan. Welcome to a Hearthstone arena draft. We've got, let's see, we got Paladin, Shaman, and Hunter here to be able to play with. I have a quest for Paladin. I would like to get the gold for that, but I did a Paladin run for the last one that I recorded, and I did a Hunter run before that, and I actually have a lot of fun playing Hunter. Paladin's pretty fun too, mostly just because it's very powerful. But I'm gonna go with the Shaman here, just to do like something a little different for this one than like the last couple videos I've done. Although the Hunter is a lot of fun, but I'm gonna go Shaman here, and we're gonna try out some different classes. And all of these kind of suck. Um, ugh, I regret playing Shaman already. So like, Farsight is pretty bad because this just it just you draw a card and it costs 3 less. So you're like putting your 3 mana into this and then getting it back with the next card. But if the card you draw costs less than 3, you're actually wasting mana and having to wait until like you have 3 mana to even see what you're gonna get out of it is pretty bad. So this is just not really a thing you want to play. Like maybe if it made it cost. Maybe if you like gain some in on this, like if the card costs 4 less, then that might be something. But even then, it's pretty weak. Doomsayer, unfortunately, like you'd think this would be good because you get to like destroy all the minions. But if they have enough things for you to want to kill them, they're just going to be able to do 7 damage to your Doomsayer. So this is only really good in like a constructed deck like Freeze Mage. So I guess we're taking Siltfin Spirit Walker. This guy's kind of like what's it called? Cult Master, but for Murlocs. So when your Murlocs die, you get to draw a card. So I guess we'll try to take a few Murlocs here. We probably don't want Reincarnate. It doesn't do a whole lot. This is a fine 2-mana play, but it's going to get killed a lot of the time because it has Wind Fury. You could almost think of this as like a 3/2 taunt, because if they can't attack it with something, they're going to, just because they don't want to take 6 or more from this. And the Gorilla Bot would be cool if we had a bunch of mechs already, but we really don't, so it's kind of just an underpowered 4-drop. Like, it's a lot worse than a Yeti, so we'll go with the Zappo. Here, these are all decent cards. Our choice is probably going to be between Flame Tongue Totem and Forked Lightning. Iron for Grizzly is not a super powerful card, and these can both make pretty huge swings. So we can do 2/2 random enemy minions, but we overload, or this thing pumps our like adjacent minions. This is good with the Zappo, and I generally like this card a little bit better. Although I probably don't play Forked Lightning as much as I do. I have a little less respect for this card than it probably deserves. But the 2 damage isn't always enough to kill them. You don't get to choose what you hit, so if they have more than 2 minions, you don't know if you're going to hit the right one. The overload is really the part for me that bothers me. Like, I just don't want to overload that much. I don't want to lose 2 mana the next turn, so we'll go Flame Tongue Totem. And let's see, we don't have secrets in this class. Shamans have no secrets, so Mad Scientist would be stupid to take. Rockbiter Weapon's a nice removal spell. You can play it turn 1 and just like kill their thing. You can use it on yourself or on one of your minions, which is nice. So you can like make the Zappo into a 6/2. That's relevant sometimes. Or we could, but so this is like kind of just a nice removal spell. Sometimes it finishes the game off. Or this is when you play a Battlecry minion, you do 2 to a random enemy, which we don't have any Battlecries yet, but we could look to pick some up. 2 is a lot of damage, but we have to have the Battlecry things first, so we'll just take the Rockbiter Weapon, because we're always going to be happy with that in our deck. We are looking for Murloc synergy. We're not really looking for mech synergy, but this guy kind of has that with the Zappo. So we could like Mech Warper and then play the Zappo for 1 mana, and that would give us 2 mechs in case we see more of those Gorilla Bots. Our other options here, Elven Archer does very little, and Raging Worgen is probably at its best in like Mage, but I don't think that this is really the kind of thing we need here, because we've already got a 3-power Wind Fury creature, and the Wind Fury things tend to get worse, I think, the more you have. So, looks like we're going for some, like, kind of mech synergy stuff here. If we take this Micro Machine, we'll be really setting ourselves up for, potential, like, mech cards by having 3 of them already. Earthshock is decent, but I think we could pick one up later if we really want to. The Silence is nice to have, though. And Brewmaster is a fine card, but he's pretty replaceable. So we'll go with this one because we might end up like having something that works out pretty well with all these. Tunnel Trug is a nice card, although we don't have any overload cards yet. We'll probably just take this mech, and again, like, hope that we can get some mech synergy beyond just Mech Warper. Uh, Unbound Elemental is also an overload card. I think that I would take Tunnel Trog over Unbound most of the time. Like, it's a lot cheaper, and it is, as a one drop that has potential to like get big later in the game. It's better than a lot of one drops are, but we'll go with this guy here. And this is kind of a weird thing to be drafting. Here we're gonna take the weapon. Any of these cards are like fine. Loot Hoarder gives you your card back later. Rocketeer is kind of a removal spell, and the weapon is a like 3 removal spells. 3 charges on this are pretty nice. And we've got a lot of 2s already, so we're pretty good on those. So this is something that can like help clear out the way for our Zap-O-Matics to get in. Another Zap-O-Matic? Sure, why not? These other cards are both bad. So we got 3 Zap-O-Matics so far. Okay. Eerie Statue's unplayable. Angry Chicken is pretty bad, so we'll go with Ancient Shade. It is a pretty big beatdown if we get to start attacking with this thing. More mechs. I hope that these guys pay off. We do have some weapons available in this class. So the Spiteful Smith is good with our Stormforged Axe, and we do have a very low curve at this point. Raid Leader is nice in this class because we can end up with like a pretty full board. But I'm actually just going to go for the Micro Machine at this point. We are really like hoping that we get something like the Gorilla Bot or something, or maybe another Mech Warper, to give us some payoff for taking so many mechs. But you know, we've got 19 cards, 18 cards left after this pick, so hopefully we can get something else for that. I think here I am going to take the Forked Lightning. To me, it's between the Forked Lightning and the Earth Shock because we just don't really have any burn yet that we would want the Ogre Magi for, and it's kind of an underpowered card generally. Like, it's much better to just have the extra toughness on a Yeti than it is to have the spell damage here. And so we can get this that just puts out more damage, so I think we're going to take that. While the Silence is nice, although this would get us through a Taunt, and if we are a pretty aggressive deck, we actually might just want to break through a Taunt. But I'm going to take the first Forked Lightning over the first Earth Shock, I think. Here we can grab another Rock Biter, or actually any of these would be alright. The Shattered Sun Cleric is going to be good with our Zap-O-Matics to get some extra damage done with these, and it's a good like curve out, having a 2 into a 3. We could also take this so that we can have a 1 to curve out with, but I think the Rock Biter weapon is just a really versatile and efficient card, so we can use it a lot of times as a removal spell, and that's gonna clear the way for our creatures to get in. This pick is going to be between the Valdir Raider and the Bloodlust. I think we're going to go with Bloodlust because we are looking like a deck that's really going to want to flood the board, and this is just a huge win condition if you have a few guys out already. Like +3 attack to all of them is a really big deal. It lets you should be able to break through any taunts they have and still get in a good amount of damage. And if they don't have taunts out and you've got a few creatures, this is just going to finish the game. This guy is a little more of like a slow play. This is like something that we're just going to slam this and end the game with, so we'll take that here. This pick, I think we're going to go with the Worgen Infiltrator. We have no need for the River Crocolisk because we're pretty full up on 2-drops already. And this is just kind of slow. We're looking like a very aggressive deck here, so we're going to try to like flood the board and win fast. So this guy helps out with that, where the 7-drop really doesn't. Zombie Chow is like, this is like just my favorite card, I think, in Hearthstone. I pretty much will take this over anything else that I see it with in Arena, and we've got some good cards here. So like all of these are very solid. Tomb Spider I think is the worst of them. Fireguard Destroyer is pretty nice. Like this guy he can get pretty big, and he's going to be at worst a 4/6 for 4 mana. He does overload you, but 4/6 for 4 mana is pretty huge, and he can be up to a 7/6. So sometimes he's not as big as you want, but he does do a lot of damage for the price. Tomb Spider is more of a long game card, but it lets you keep card advantage. Zombie Chow just like establishes your board dominance really early. Like 2/3 for 1 is insane. It fights with all these 2-drops. It fights with some of the 3-drops, and the Death Rattle gives your opponent 5 health back, which we would think is going to be bad in our aggro deck. But you don't play this to like beat down most of the time. You play this to gain board control. So if they're at 30 life, the life gain doesn't even matter because you're just like trading it off with one of their cards, and you're getting like trading your 1-drop for one of their 2 mana cards. So when you play a turn 1 Zombie Chow, you're just like, you feel like the king of Hearthstone for doing that. So yeah, I will take the zombie chow for pretty much anything I see it with. Let's see. We do have an overload card at this point. We've got one overload card. We got two overload cards. We've got the Stormforge decks also. Oh, three, because we've got this Murloc. Although this is our worst card at this point, because I don't think we've even seen any other Murlocs. So we got three overload cards. We'll take this guy. He's kind of like probably worse than Zombie Chow, but he might be better than Worgen Infiltrator. And if we can curve out from this into the Axe, then he just is a Zombie Chow, which is pretty good. And we'll probably pick up like at least one more overload card as we go here. So we'll take him. Totem Golem is a nice overload card. He is just a huge 2-drop, and since we're trying to be aggro, huge 2-drop sounds pretty good. Let's see. I think we don't want another Bloodlust. One of these is probably enough because you don't really want to draw like two and not have any minions to have out. Frost Elemental is fine but pretty slow. He's like a good tempo card though. But we're gonna take the Fireguard Destroyer. We already discussed like how big he can be, and the Overload is relevant for our Tunnel Trunk. So he's going to fill out our later curve here. Nerubian Egg is probably going to be our pick because we've already got two Rockbiter weapons. We've got Flame Tongue Totem. We've got Bloodlust, which is probably it's not really what you're looking to like, because you want to win the turn you play this, but sometimes you just need to like really just use this like even if you're not going to win. There's sometimes it's just right to play a Bloodlust. So it's either Nerubian Egg or Lava Shock. I think Armored Warhorse is not really part of the our decision here because we're not going to win many jousts since we have a very, very low curve. Lava Shock is removal, which is nice. It's like faster than Nerubian Egg, but Nerubian Egg gives you a lot of power if you can get it killed somehow, and I think we should have a few ways to do that. So we'll go ahead and take it here. And here we're just going to take another Totem Golem. Be happy with that. We've got a very aggressive deck at this point. I think here we can take Unbound Elemental. It triggers off of the Overload stuff. And Salty Dog is kind of slow for what we're trying to do with this deck. And Loot Hoarder is replaceable. Like, it does draw you the card back, but we've got a lot of 2s already. So we'll take something to fill out our, like, 3 drops here. And this is still a good aggressive card. Here we're definitely going to take the Draconid. This will be like one of our more expensive cards in the deck, but we shouldn't have too much trouble getting the opponent to 15 or less. This pick is probably Lightning Bolt. Ice Rager's nice and aggressive. Voodoo Bay Bodyguard's pretty bad. So our pick is between Ice Rager and Lightning Bolt, and this is just it. Overloads, it is cheap, it kills something, and Ice Rager is fine, but is replaceable. Like, he does hit really hard. He's not, I don't think he's a bad card, but he is replaceable, and we'll just take this one because it's removal. So we'll be happy with that. Here's another Mech Warper. That gives us the mech synergy that we were looking for. And these 3 cards are all pretty comparable other than that. Another weapon is going to be a nice thing. So we've got Charged Hammer, which this changes your hero power. And that seems pretty cool because you get to just shoot like 2 damage with your hero power. But this ends up being pretty slow because it's like if your game is gonna last long enough to change your hero power to this, then it's probably the kind of game you would want the totems in anyway. So this just ends up not working out very well. Doomhammer does a lot of damage. I mean, we can hit twice with this, so this does it does 4 damage a turn minimum if we're just hitting the face with it. And if we have something like the Rockbiter weapon, this becomes we get to attack for 5 twice a turn, so you can really just end a game very fast with that. This also has Overload, so nice card there. It's a good thing for us to pick up. We'll be happy with Direwolf Alpha because it it's good with our aggressive creatures, and it gives us something else that triggers Nerubian Egg. And these Stone Skin Gargoyles very bad, and Fossilized Devilsaur is, I think, pretty bad. So we're happy with this. And we've got 3 picks left. We don't really want any of these cards, but I think that we're going to be okay with Frost Shock, 1 damage to a character and freeze it. So we can burn the opponent's face with this and stop them from using a weapon, or we could like tie up one of their creatures. This might help buy us the like last turn that we need to finish someone off. Here we're happy with Crackle. That's a sweet card. Just does a bunch of damage and it overloads. Not really much to discuss there. It's cheaper than the Reckless Rocketeer as far as fast damage cards go. And the Swamp Ooze is, again, we've got a lot of 2s, so That was probably more discussion than we need over like whether to take Crackle or not. For our last pick, we definitely don't want Summoning Stone because this is just a stupid card. So our pick is Dragon Egg or Stampeding Kodo. We've got the Nerubian Egg already, so I don't think we want to really mess around with Dragon Egg. We don't have we don't want to like wasting our Rockbiter weapons pumping this thing. Like it's okay to use one of these to pump the Nerubian Egg because you get a 4/4 out of it, but the two ones just don't do that much. And Stampeding Kodo is a pretty fantastic card. It comes down, it puts a body on the board, and it clears out one of their things. You're usually going to have a chance to play the Kodo when it'll kill something, so we're going to be happy with that card here. So this deck, this is like, this is not really what you want your curve to look like because if this deck goes into the late game, we're going to be in trouble. Because like if you get to the late game where people are playing like their 7 drops, these cards just aren't going to do anything on that kind of a board. But we are very aggressive. We've got 2 mech warpers, so we can make all these mechs cheaper. We've got 2 totem golems, who are pretty huge. We've got a zombie chow, who's excellent. We've got a lot of pump. We've got like flame tongue totem and Direwolf Alpha have a similar effect. And we've got double Rockbiter weapon as well, so we've got a lot of ways to put extra damage out. We've got some Wind Fury guys who are good with the pump if they get to hit twice. We do have a bit of overload, so that's something that we're going to have to be careful about, but our low mana costs are going to help us with that, because if we're overloading, then we can play a low-cost card the next turn and not really get punished too much for it, and we are going to almost always have a 1-drop. Like, we should definitely, we have to curve out with a deck like this, so it's going to be pretty unlikely that we have an opening hand that we get stuck with that's like, say, Ancient Shade, Fireguard Destroyer, or Spirit Walker. It's unlikely that we're just going to have a bunch of 4s. So we should almost always have a 1-drop, and we should really every game have a 2. That shouldn't be a problem. So if somebody manages to like stall us out and like weather this initial assault, or our cards just don't come together very well for it, then those are going to be the games that we'll lose. But a lot of games we're going to overrun people pretty fast here, and we actually have this like actual overrun from Magic and Bloodlust. So we do have some good like finishers in Doom Hammer and Bloodlust and Draconid Crusher, and this will be fun. I think we'll see how this goes. So I'll be back with some games right away.